severe on everyone you meet. They come on the screen, they give their lives. We are the people. They won't take us alive. Manipulation, torture, murder, genocide, mechanics of death. All through the sky, a new heaven awaits. An afterlife of bliss. We must stand strong. We must resist. They come on the screen. They spill their lies. We are the people. They want to take us alive. They call us rebels. They spit our name. We are the people. We want justice back. They come on the screen. Say they won't survive. We are the people. They won't take us
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
Oh, what the fuck? Ladies and gentlemen, feds and degenerates, cuckolds of all ages, it is time for Mild's Culture Plate. And Rumble Studios being a little wonky on me today. There we go. I'm your host, Mild Kevin Miles. And we've got a show for you today. First off, folks, trickle on in, say hello in the chat, get your toast. Come on in and say hi. Let me know you're out there. Let me know you're watching. Let me know that you care. Let me know that you love me. And I know that you love me. You know why? Because I've been officially invited to be, well, I should say accepted to be in the Rumble Creator Program. Yes, the Rumble Creator Program. Cheers to great liquor out there. Good seeing you. And Rusty Rivers, cheers to you, my friend. Good having you guys out there. Good seeing you in the chat. Welcome, welcome. So yes, I have been accepted into the Rumble Creative Program. That means between this channel and my gaming channel, not to be confused, because I guess for the last 2 days I've been streaming my gaming content to this channel because I didn't realize what the hell I was doing when I was setting up my stream. I've since moved those streams over to that channel. So yeah, if you're annoyed with the Baldur's Gate, I'm sorry. I moved the Baldur's Gate over to the gaming channel, and I'm going to continue my questing over there. If you happened to swing by yesterday, my apologies. Yeah, we weren't doing a politics show. I was doing some gaming, and yeah, that gaming was very frustrating. I forgot to save and proceeded to walk into a trap where a statue nuked me after 2 hours of, having to click everything in a town. Yeah, and then it didn't save. Yeah, fun times, fun times. So then the second half of my stream, I loaded an old game save and just went and annihilated some goblins. So yeah, sorry for that update. But yes, so long story short, I've been accepted into the Rumble Creator Program. That means I'm going to need to be coming up with 30 hours of content per month, and some of that content has to be Rumble Premium content. So be looking for my link. I'm going to be posting a link coming up. If you haven't signed up for Rumble Premium, I'm going to be posting an affiliate link here at some point in time in March, so that you could use my link to sign up for Rumble Premium, and then you'll get access to my premium content as well as other people's premium content, and we'll just all be premium members of Rumble. And even if you're already a Rumble Premium member, you can gift subs to my channel and all that, and it definitely will go help fund things. I don't really ask for super chats. I really don't ask for your money. But there will be some Rumble Premium content on this channel, and yeah, I'll be producing 30 hours per month as long as I'm part of this program. So I'm gonna be having to closely follow a schedule, and yeah, you can, well, but not just this channel, but between this channel and my gaming channel, 30 hours a month. Excuse me, I've been taking some oregano oil, and it's really been breaking up the sinuses. Need a crack daddy back. Neck and I are cracking. Okay. So by the way, cheers to Still Not Banned here. Good seeing you in the chat. Good having you by. Need a crack daddy back and neck. I are creaking. Okay. And Rusty River says, not annoyed, just not my thing. You do you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I did there. I messed up setting up the stream, and yeah, so if you've got your notifications turned on for the channel, I do my best, and I'll try to do better to make sure that my settings are proper and that I'm streaming to the proper thing. The thing is, in OBS, I've been streaming with OBS to the gaming, and when I do that, I got to kind of set up the stream over on Rumble and then enter all that information over onto OBS, and it's just a pain in the ass. But I'm going to try some different stuff. Still Not Banned here needs to see the chiropractor. I mean, yeah, I hear you. Lots of us do. Okay, so let's get into the news. I'm not really going to read this news article, but I wanted to kind of point out some blurbs in it. And, if you've been following me on X, the link's down in the description, by the way, if you want to follow me on X. If you've been following me on X, you saw the other day I posted a video of some planes at an airport. We got American airline flight discontinues a landing to avoid a departing plane at Washington National. Maneuver involving American flight 2246 from Boston happened about 8:20 a.m. Tuesday, less than 2 hours before another plane attempting to land at Chicago was forced to climb back into the sky to avoid another aircraft crossing a runway. And then in that incident, Southwest said flight 2504 from Omaha, Nebraska landed safely after the crew performed a precautionary go around to avoid a possible conflict with another aircraft that entered the runway. An airline spokesperson said in an email that the crew followed safety procedures. Okay, now back to the American flight. It landed safely and normally. We're talking about 4 planes here, folks. At National Airport after air traffic control instructed pilots. Okay, so you got 2 in Washington almost hit each other, and 2 in Chicago almost hit each other 2 hours apart. American has a no-fault go-around policy as a go-around, and it is not abnormal flight maneuver and can occur nearly every day in the national airspace system. It's a tool in the pilot and air traffic controller's toolbox to help maintain safe flight operations. Many reasons why pilots could abort a landing, including flying too high, too fast, not being lined up with the runway. Is it a pilot issue, an air traffic control issue, a weather issue, wildlife issue? You name it. There are a wide variety of reasons for it. Past few weeks have seen 4 major aviation disasters in North America. All right, we're gonna call that. So yeah, folks, say your prayers if you fly the friendly skies. All right, we ready to get into the White House? Let's talk about the White House and the executive branch. White House has barred AP, Reuters, and other from covering the Trump cabinet meeting. They denied reporters from Reuters and other news organizations access to Trump's first cabinet meeting in keeping with the administration's new policy with media coverage. White House denied access to an AP photographer, 3 reporters from Reuters, HuffPost, and Der Tagesspiegel. TV crews from ABC and Newsmax, along with correspondents from Axios, Blaze, Bloomberg, and NPR were permitted to cover the event. On Tuesday, the Trump administration announced the White House would determine which media outlets could cover the president in smaller spaces such as the Oval Office. And then there's Caroline Leavitt. There's a clip of her talking about all this. I won't necessarily bring that up. But yes, Trump had his first cabinet meeting. And they limited who could cover it, and it wasn't AP or Reuters. I've done these, I guess I'm doing these out of order. I should have saved that news story for next, because let me jump around a little bit. We're going to move to today. Donald Trump today had announced this regarding immigration. Now, we have a president who's pretty tough on immigration policy, right? And whenever I've had conversations with people about immigration, one of the things people like to say is, I don't mind immigration. It's the illegal immigration that's the problem. Or I've had leftists say, well, we need to make immigration easier to do the legal way. Well, President of the United States has a tool for that. Here he is talking about the new immigration gold card.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure. 2 weeks.
Wait a minute.
2 weeks.
Hang on a second. You have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card.
Yeah, exactly.
So the EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of
Okay, so let me clarify. Still Not Banned here says, wow, bold move for AP and Reuters to be barred. I saw they were doing something like that, but didn't see who. Now, AP has been barred from covering the president personally and in the press room and stuff like that. They've been specifically barred for the Gulf of America, for dead naming the Gulf of America. They've been specifically barred for that. But Reuters and these others, this is simply a shifting of the deck chairs. This administration has said that they want to see other news outlets welcomed into the White House. They want to see, some of your bigger Rumble streamers. They want to see your Breitbarts. They want to see, some bloggers covering the White House. So instead of having these entrenched Washington press pool people have a permanent residence in all of these White House and Pentagon offices, they kicked them out, and they're allowing it to rotate. So this here, what they did for the cabinet meeting, they rotated them out and just said, no, you're not welcome here. We have a limited number of seats. We're going to invite these other outlets. We're going to invite Axios and NPR and some of these other outlets instead of AP and Reuters. Now, AP and Reuters, they tend to be the two biggest news aggregators. They reach out with their tentacles, collect all the news from all the other journalists, put it in a big pool, and then shit it back out to all the newspapers and websites and radio shows and all that. So a lot of people go to AP to kind of as the top of the pyramid of the news, so to speak, and Reuters, by the way. And so not only that, they have their own journalists, they have their own coverage, but but exactly for AP and Reuters, for the two sort of biggest news aggregators to be, you're not welcome here, is huge. It's huge. All right. Anyway, let's get back to the immigration thing. Let's get back to the gold card.
Of course, we're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come
They're
to
not
America.
terrorists.
The president
allegedly
can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card, well, millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. So Apple and all these companies that want to get people to be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools, I see that as one of the things. But generally speaking, it'll be people with money.
So you can have third parties buy your card.
They won't have to pay any tax on
Rivers,
income outside
concern
of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else. So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example, 1 million cards would be worth $5 trillion. $5 trillion.
Wow.
And if you sell 10 million of the cards, that's a total of $50 trillion. Well, we have $35 trillion in debt.
$50 trillion.
Nice. We'll see. But
I hope 50 million people doesn't take him up on the offer.
Maybe it will be fantastic. We have.
Again, what comes to my mind are like James Bond villains, right? I will take over the world, and you have these types maybe buying a gold card for their son to come in here and start, investing in American companies and, rug pull and, do villainous stuff So yeah, I hope they can assimilate. I hope it's just not going to be James Bond villains and robber barons. Hope it's not going to be the Klaus Schwabs of the world, but we'll see.
Have it all worked out from the legal standpoint. It's totally legal to do. Hasn't been done before. It's been done in many different forms. We give them away. Why should we give them away? We shouldn't give them away.
Now, I disagree with that. You know, we
very
do
exciting. I think it's potentially
we do have an immigration process, and I think green cards are fine.
about.
All right, so there you have it. You have President Donald J. Trump, shaking things up with a new immigration policy. All right, folks, you may have noticed the title of the show today. If you've been on Twitter in the past 48 hours, you kind of get what I'm going to get at here. Wait a minute. Let me do this. No, let me actually, I'm going to hold off on the title. Let's do this. Let's bring these up, this up, and this up. Okay, so we'll save that for a little bit later. We'll save the Chris Rufo stuff for just a little bit later. Jesus. I'll swap these two. I had it set up, but since we've already talked a little bit about President Trump and the cabinet meeting, let's get to the cabinet meeting. So you had Elon Musk attend the cabinet meeting, and of course, leftists lost their fucking mind. Why is Elon Musk at the cabinet meeting? He's not a member of the cabinet. And of course, the right wing rightly responded, Jill fucking Biden, just a few months ago, essentially led a White House cabinet meeting. So why is Elon Musk allowed to be in the fucking room? Well, obviously, cabinet members had some questions for Elon Musk. And so let's let Elon Musk talk just a little bit.
I'd like to have Elon Musk please say a few words.
Well, thank you, Elon. Thank you, Mr. President. I actually just call myself a humble tech support here because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the Doge team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate.
Okay, so, the way this is kind of being reported in the media is Musk's role and Doge's role is kind of as a personnel downsizer. But he's coming out and saying, no, a lot of what we're doing is getting the computers to where at least they can function and tell us what's going on with the money. Anyway, I'll let him continue.
There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true. The overall goal here with the Doge team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt, now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become.
That's a lot of fucking bankrupt. Interest.
It's
just to be absorbed by the bankers.
It is an essential thing. That's the reason I'm here, and taking a lot of flack and getting a lot of death threats. By the way, I like to stack them up. But
remember that death threat thing.
America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. I'm confident at this point, knock on wood, knock on my wooden head, there's got a lot of wood up there, that we can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget.
So you remember when he first started cutting things, right? After about 3 weeks of cutting like a couple different departments, there were a bunch of news articles. At this rate, it would take 18 years to cut $1 trillion from the budget. Well, here you have Elon Musk right here saying, I think we can cut $1 trillion in spending. Yeah, still not banned here. Yeah, you got to love the Washington types hearing that the money well's going to dry up.
And obviously, that can only be done with the support of everyone in this room. And I'd like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you very much. This can only be done with your support. So this is really Doge is a support function for the president and for the agencies and departments to help achieve those savings and to effectively find.
Here's and welcome, Groper 73.
In reduction in fraud and waste. And we bring the receipts. So people say, like, well, is this real? Just go to doge.gov. We line item by line item, we specify each item. So, and I should say, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect. But when we make mistakes, we'll fix it very quickly. So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola prevention. I think we all want
Ebola prevention.
So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately, and there was no interruption. But we do need to move quickly.
Rusty River says, off topic, but who's filling in for Dan Bongino? Opinions, the information war is not over yet. I haven't followed the Bongino stuff quite enough. I did notice that one of his producers had given an interview. Who was that? Who was that was interviewing him? I did see where he was talking a little bit and said it would continue without Bongino. Like they might have to rebrand or something. And I think Bongino said his wife would still be involved in the media empire. But, of course, due to conflict of interest, you can't be running a media outlet when you're like in the intelligence apparatus of the government. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure who's going to take over Bongino's spot. But, yeah, congratulations to Dan Bongino for landing the assistant director of the FBI spot. I'm going to have some opinions that aren't going to be quite nice about Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi here in a minute. But for now, let's let Elon Musk finish here.
If we're to achieve a $1 trillion deficit reduction,
here we go. Yep.
In financial year 2026, it requires saving $4 billion per day every day from now through the end of September. But we can do it, and we will do it. Thank you.
Would you have any questions of Elon while we're on?
Okay, so basically that's the end of the clip. So yeah, Trump asked if they're going to have any questions, and there was a question right after that, and we've got the video for that. Now the audio is going to get a lot shittier here, so I'm going to I've turned it up all the fucking way, so you might have to listen in closely here. Uh-oh. There we go.
Mr. Musk. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. Musk. Are there about half of the government employees so far appear to have responded to your request for?
Okay, so that's another tab I can delete. Well, you know what? Hang on. Before we do this, let me just point out. Remember when he said he was getting death threats? Remember how Elon Musk said he was getting death threats? Let's cover this news story real quick. There's a woman accused of repeatedly vandalizing a Tesla dealership in Colorado and has been arrested with incendiary devices. Lucy Grace Nelson was found returning to the dealership for an alleged fourth vandalization attempt. January 29th, February 2nd, February 7th. ATF will be handling the release of information. Nelson was processed at the Larimer County Jail, charged with use of explosives during a felony. Bond set at $100,000 cash. She's posted bond and is no longer in custody. All right. Let's go back to this.
Or what they've been doing over the past week. Is there a timeline in place for next moves for people being fired, and when can people expect to see results of them?
Okay, so as you heard there, about one half of federal government employees have responded to Elon Musk's "What did you do this week?" email. And let's hear what he has to say about it.
Yes. Well, to be clear, like I think that email perhaps was misinterpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review.
So it was not a performance review. He didn't want to know actually what you had done. He just wanted to know that you have done something.
Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and 2 neurons?
Do you have a pulse and 2 neurons?
If you have a pulse and 2 neurons, you can reply to an email. This is, I think not a high bar, is what I'm saying. This is, anyone can accomplish this? But what we are trying to get to the bottom of
Here he
is we think
explains.
there are a number of people on the government payroll who are dead, which is probably why they can't respond. And some people who are not real people, like they're literally fictional individuals that are.
We have dead people and fictional individuals on our federal government payroll.
Collecting paycheck. Well, somebody's collecting paychecks on a fictional individual. So we're just literally trying to figure out, are these people real? Are they alive? And can they write an email? Which I think is a reasonable expectation for the American public would have at least that expectation of someone in the public sector.
Now, mind you, I'm not saying half of federal government employees are dead or fictional, but half didn't respond to the email that said, essentially, are you dead or fictional? All right, let's bring that down for just a second. Fictional individuals collecting a federal government paycheck. And I was going to bring up the Axios article talking about it, but I'll go ahead and pass on that. And then, at some point in the cabinet briefing, questions turned to the defense secretary, and Pete Hegseth had this to say about Afghanistan.
Well, it's a question we've thought a lot about. We're doing a complete review of every single aspect of what happened with the botched withdrawal of Afghanistan and plan to have full accountability. It's one of the first things we announced at the Defense Department for that reason, sir. Certainly, General Raisin Kane, who's on his way in, was not a part of that. Instead, was a part of leading the effort against ISIS by untying the hands of warfighters and finishing the job properly and then bringing our troops home. So we're taking a very different view, obviously, than the previous administration, and there will be full accountability.
I don't see big promotions in that group, and I think they're going to be largely gone. I know the man on my left. I think they're going to be largely gone. That was a horrible display, and I've dealt with the parents and the family of the 13 that were killed, but nobody ever talks about the 40 that were so badly hurt with the arms and the legs and the face and the whole thing, the missing arms and legs. It was so terrible the way that was handled.
Well, it's a question we've thought a lot about.
Okay, so there we go. They're going to look at the chain of military command and determine who the hell was responsible for the insanity of the withdrawal. One more clip from the cabinet meeting. The president was asked a question about entitlement programs and whether or not the entitlement programs would be on the chopping block. And he had an answer for the press.
The president's spending bill that passed last night aims to cut $2 trillion.
Right.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Okay? This will not be read my lips. It won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud.
There won't be read
I'm
my
sure
lips.
You're okay with that, like people that shouldn't be on, people that are illegal aliens and others.
Shots fired across the
criminals
Bush
in
family.
many cases. And that's with Social Security. We have a lot of people. You see that immediately when you see people that are 200 years old that are being sent checks for Social Security. Some of them are actually being sent checks. So we're tracing that down, and I have a feeling that Pam is going to do a very good job with that. But you have a lot of fraud. But no, I'm not. We're not doing anything on this.
Okay, so yeah, not gonna touch your Social Security, folks. Just like he said through his whole campaign. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's get into the. Well, first off, I'll address the chat. Yeah, a lot of it's money laundering. A lot of it's scam programs. Stuff like the food scandal up in Minneapolis, stuff like that. I'm sure. You know, you remember the movie Office Space, right? Where you had the stapler guy Milton, and they were just like, well, let's just stop paying him. It'll eventually work out. He was actually supposed to be fired a long time ago. I imagine that goes on in our government like crazy. Like, oh, we're just used to sending a 40-hour paycheck to, direct deposit to this account, and we're just, and then yeah, someone dies or someone made up a fictional name, never came to work, but they're getting paid anyway. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's happening. Yeah, so far as left and right, it's so irritating. Yeah. Yeah, so it's sad that we have to be so partisan about these things. So let's go back to Twitter and talk about the NSA. So was it 2 days ago? Chris Rufo posted this Twitter thread here. We're going to bring this up where he says, Hannah Grossman, Hannah Grossman of the Manhattan Institute used to be in Fox News. Then Christopher Russo of the Manhattan Institute in City Journal obtained chat logs from the NSA's secret trans sex chat room in which NSA, CIA, and DIA employees discuss cutting their private parts off, artificial private parts, urination fetishes, polycules, and multiple partner sexual encounters, all on government time. This is insane. The NSA maintains a chat system for the intelligence community called Intel Link. Their servers are supposed to be used for government work. But there are 2 channels, LGBTQA and IC Pride TWG, to discuss fetishes, kink, sex, and all legitimized under the government's DEI. And then here you have a screenshot from his article that said the NSA leadership declared that this DEI was not only mission critical, but mission imperative. One popular topic was male to female surgery, which involves removing the tallywhacker. Shout out to Cookie over on YouTube. The tallywhacker and turning it into a front hole. They love the feeling of penetration and peeing with their newly crafted meat pocket. They discuss hair removal, estrogen treatments, and booby implants. And there's a quote: "Getting my beehole zapped by a laser was shocking. Medical science is going to give me tits one way or another." One NSA official claims to use its pronouns. Other Intel employees defend the usage of it itself, claiming that not using them amounts to trans erasure. They discussed ethical non-monogamy, polyamory. Some of our friends are practically polymers with all the connected compounds. And again, he full story about the chat exclusively at City Journal. So feel free to look up Christopher Rufo. I'm sure he's got this pinned. But he went on to create a couple more posts where he talks about this stuff. The NSA and CIA officials expressed their desire to have hermaphrodite babies in order to advance their ideology. An intersex birth would be a great opportunity to raise a non-binary kid and let them choose later. CIA officials celebrating the death of Pat Robertson. Recurring theme in the chat rooms: hatred against Christians, conservatives, Italians. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. The Guidos, man. The Guidos are getting owned. The Guidos are getting owned by the fairies. One intelligence officer even cast aspersions on his own grandmother. So here we go. Overheard elsewhere, it was so smoky yesterday because the gates of hell opened up to let him in. Pat Robertson, only the good die young, explains why my grandmother is still alive. Oh. I always make the joke every time there's a conversation about what's his name? Damn it, I'm having a brain fart now. Only the good die young. The singer. Fuck. Anyway, I always make a joke that he got old, and this person makes that joke about their grandmother. I can't believe I'm having a brain fart. Billy Joel. Fuck. I got it before Chad had to fucking rescue me. Billy Joel. Only the good die young. Yeah, he got old. In a secret chat room, NSA, DNI, and Spacecom officials claim that Tulsi Gabbard is fervently anti-queer, quote, a Russian agent and a member of the MAGA, quote unquote, cult. These employees, including one of them that goes by they, them pronouns, are attempting to undermine Gabbard from within. And what happened? I had the news article and it's gone. Anyway, hang on. I'll just bring it back up here. Fuck it, here we go. Fox News. Good, no paywall. Here we go. Tulsi Gabbard moves to terminate and revoke security clearances of NSA employees tied to explicit chat rooms. President Donald Trump's director of national intelligence is taking action against federal employees within the intelligence community for alleged ties to explicit conversations on an internal message board. There are over 100 people across the intelligence community that contributed to and participated in what is really just an egregious violation of trust. What to speak of, like basic rules and standards and professionalism, Gabbard said on Jesse Waters' Primetime. I guess I'm assuming that that's this 7-minute fucking clip, but I'm not going to play a 7-minute clip. Gabbard previously called the uncovered behavior unacceptable when writing on social media and said that those involved will be held accountable. These disgusting chat groups were immediately shut down when the president issued his EO executive order, ending the DEI insanity the Biden administration was obsessed with. Our intelligence community must be focused on our core mission, ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. These messages were part of a DEI-focused employee resource groups that had been hijacked by activists who spent all day holding meetings with titles such as privilege, ally awareness, pride, and trans community inclusion. The source who leaked the chat logs reportedly informed the Manhattan Institute. So, I should really... Yeah, still not banned here. Yeah, her hair and makeup looks great. Yep. Not too bad. Yeah, she's a pretty lady. In fact, anyway, never mind. I'm not gonna bring that up. Okay, where are we at? We're at 6:40. I've got about 3 more news stories. I thought it'd take longer because I had so many tabs, but all of it was that Chris Rufo stuff. It was pretty easy to get through. So yeah, fuck around and find out. I really need to start another segment of my show that's just about these fuck around and find out moments where, the leftists who have gotten away with shit like this for years are finally getting their comeuppance. Now, I can't wait. I can't wait till state departments of education start rooting out some of these teachers that we saw, that Libs of TikTok, down in the early days of this channel, we covered on Libs of TikTok all these teachers that were promoting trans stuff and putting up the flags and having, trans celebrations in their elementary schools and stuff like that. I can't wait. Okay. Hell yeah. All right, let's get into. Okay, let's do this one. So Donald Trump, the immigration thing wasn't the only announcement Donald Trump made today, and this one sort of unpopular. I don't really love this one. Let's get into this.
We don't need their lumber. In fact, we're going to be freeing up, and I've asked Howard Lutnick to get that done with Lee and everybody, Lee Zeldin, environmental. We're freeing up our forests. We're going to be able to take down trees. Right now, we're so restricted environmentally. We're going to be freeing it up with an emergency order. We have an emergency order, and we're going to be freeing up our forests. We have more forests than almost anybody, and great lumber, great trees. We don't need anybody's trees. We don't need trees from Canada or anybody else. In fact, we have to put the slits, as they call them, the area, 50, 60-yard area in between areas of trees. It stops the fires. We don't need.
Okay, so we're gonna just open up our forests to the lumber industry. Now, it's been a while since I've thought about lumber clear cutting, but I kind of consider it a little bit of a problem. Like I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Anyway, speaking of unhinged leftists with the whole trans people and all that getting fired from the intelligence community. Speaking of crazy leftists, we definitely have some people in Congress who are crazy leftists. And we've covered some of the recent statements from Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas, on this channel a few different times. But she just continues. I think she has realized what her role in American media is. And I think she has embraced that role of being that bitch, right? Yeah, still not being here. Sounds like a good idea for production fires ultimately. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying I'm not a big fan of clear cutting. I've taken a lot of vacations in Oregon, and I've seen just kind of some of the beautiful forests there just be reduced to just ugly, shaved, just stumpage. And, it can't all be pretty. And yes, it does prevent fire, it does prevent fires, clearing out a lot of the dead stuff and turning it into lumber. But anyway, back to Jasmine Crockett. So her latest thing is to freak out over Donald Trump. And I didn't play it. There was a clip from the cabinet meeting. Oh, there was a clip from the cabinet meeting where Trump had kind of addressed some of the JD Vance. I'm sorry. JD Vance had addressed some of the unhinged leftists' criticism over the president and vice president and many of our dignitaries' handling of what's going on between Ukraine and Russia, and how unhinged some of these takes are. Well, Jasmine Crockett takes the cake here, and let's get into this here. Yeah. That's just it. We do need to maintain that whatever gets cut has to be replanted. I do agree with that. And yeah, as long as we maintain a sustainable rate of cutting versus planting, that we have enough growth happening to replenish, then sure, I'm all for this. But I don't trust government to pull it off correctly. That's the thing. And I don't trust private corporations to pull it off correctly. Anyway, so Jasmine Crockett, if this is what the MAGA mandate looks like, then as I've stated before, Christianity ain't the foundation, but cruelty and chaos are. For fuck's sake, though, Project 2025 said they would fuck with Head Start and no one listened. I'm going to have my staff find footage of me warning of this. I haven't heard anything about Head Start. I'm going to have to look into that. Because leftists sometimes say shit and it has no basis in reality. And sometimes they say stuff and it gets dismissed by the right. And then you look into it and there's like a shred of truth to it. And so you kind of, I don't know what she's talking about Project 2025 fucking with Head Start. Has Trump done something about Head Start in the last couple days? Has Doge cut, the Department of Education cut Head Start? I don't know. I haven't heard this. Anyway, so then she goes on to say, these dumb fucks literally moved in and breaking all our good shit. What you mean your slush fund? Your slush fund. In real time. And then she says, if this ain't some Beverly Hillbilly billionaire bullshit, I don't know what is. I'm going to get in my official capacity and do a quick Instagram before my district swearing in, blah, blah, blah. So Beverly Hillbilly billionaire bullshit. She loves these little wordplay, right? Really, she should be a hip hop artist. But instead, she decided to run for Congress. And she got elected. So, she represents the people of Texas in the United States Congress. And yeah. Yeah, whoa, I see they're going with outspoken and edgy with her. Cool, trendy. Yeah, but this isn't it. This isn't it. We still got more Jasmine Crockett.
Instead, we're pushing conspiracy theories, and some of them are killing people. It's the same thing that we have coming out of Doge. It's the reason that people are dying. It's the reason that
people are dying.
Farmers are losing their farms because we continue to peddle conspiracy theories. It is time for us to say, Mr. President, guess what? Russia invaded Ukraine. Can we at least agree on that one?
I mean, what are the borders and why? Why are those borders that way? Do you know anything about the history of that region? And, again, the Donbass, yes, technically Russia invaded territory that was owned by Ukraine. You're correct. But it's not that fucking simple. And you trying to make it that fucking simple is disingenuous. The Donbass region didn't want to be a part of Ukraine.
Facts matter. Y'all, this is literally potentially putting us into an international crisis. We may be heading towards the next world war because we have a president that wants to pal around with Putin and wants to do everything to make him feel good, including lying about who invaded who.
Okay, so yeah, she's accusing conservatives about lying about the invasion. Let's do this. Let's see. Let's see if I can find that JD Vance clip real quick.
It's probably the reason the whole thing started. And
question, sir. I mean, look, great. Maybe
okay, here we go.
The hardest question, sir. I mean, look, as the president said, we're not going to do the negotiation in public with the American media. He's going to do it in private with the president of Russia. with the president of Ukraine and with other leaders. And I think that's how this has to go. I think that I just want to push back against some of the criticism I've seen of the administration on this, because every single time the president engages in diplomacy, you guys preemptively accuse him of conceding to Russia. He hasn't conceded anything to anyone. He's doing the job of a diplomat, and he is, of course, the diplomat in chief as the president of the United States.
NATO,
Okay, so there you go. I mean, yeah.
you
So
can
he said,
forget about. I think that's probably the reason the whole thing started.
okay, so you heard Trump just said that it was Ukraine asking for membership to NATO, the reason why Russia invaded. So we could talk about a Cold War. We could talk about all these reasons why this war is happening. We could talk about, military aggression, whatever. But quite frankly, it shouldn't take the United States to get involved. Ukraine should understand they're fucking with the big boy right there next door. And they should have treaded carefully. Now, again, you could say, well, that big boy's a bully that was going to bully them and take them over. And, Europe had to step in. NATO had to step in. Well, I disagree. They weren't part of NATO. I mean, I kind of like Trump's idea of just maybe the right thing to do is give some to Poland, give some to Russia, have like a little neutral area that you can call Ukraine. I don't know. But yes, like what's still not banned here says, yeah, they're saying this collusion, picking side shit and forgetting what basic diplomacy requires. Yeah, and nobody wants to see Putin just walk away with all the cards. I don't think the United States, I don't think Trump wants to see that. I don't think anybody wants to see that. Anyway, speaking of bullies, and speaking of unhinged Congress people, we had this clip that I'm about to show you of number 2. If you, OG Milds Culture Plate viewers will know who I mean by number 2. And that is, if you've ever seen the Austin Powers movie, one of the villains calls number 2. In fact, let me go ahead and in case you're not familiar with the Austin Powers movie, this is number 2. Right here. This is number 2 in the Austin Powers movie. Well, if you're not familiar, we have a congressman, also from Texas. Texas, come on. Come on, Texas. Please elect someone else. Anybody else. These fucking Congress critters you're electing in Texas. You guys just you got a bad picker. That's probably why your fucking divorce rate's going up and everything else. Fuck Texas. I will mess with Texas. Anyway, so you had this video come out of Congressman Dan Crenshaw, aka number 2.
Thank you. Have you ever met Tucker?
Talking about Tucker Carlson.
Thank you.
Now,
have you ever met Tucker?
Now ignore these AI generated captions and listen closely. If I ever meet him, I'll fucking kill him. Listen one more time. If I ever meet him, I'll fucking kill him. Number 2, talking tough. Right? He started to claim he didn't say that. GBN News deleted this clip. It was rescued by Jack Unheard on Twitter and posted for everyone to see. Tucker Carlson responded with essentially something along the lines of, "Hey, let's let me give you my address. We can sit down for an interview, and then something like called him a pansy or something. But anyway, you have the American Accountability Foundation at the Swamp Monitor on Twitter, on X. Pardon me, I dead named X again. Shit. I need to just start donating to my own channel every time I dead name X, and that'll be like the swear jar. So many eye patches. Yeah, I know. That's why I call him number 2. Anyway, so they tweeted that they just filed an ethics complaint with the U.S. House of Representatives Office of Congressional Ethics against Dan Crenshaw, aka number 2, for threatening the life of journalist Tucker Carlson. February 24th, Crenshaw was quoted in a conversation with Stephen Edgington stating that he would kill Carlson. In doing so, we believe Representative Dan Crenshaw is in violation of the House rules House rules specifically engaging on conduct unbecoming a member of the House. This is why they've written a letter to the U.S. House, and then the letter says basically what we've already said. As Crenshaw frequently points out, he's a former Navy SEAL, so no one should reasonably assume that his threats to kill someone should be taken seriously, since he has received significant military training in the application of lethal force. Working First Amendment depends on reporters being able to operate without fear of attack from the government or its leaders. Put simply, a member of the House should never be allowed to threaten a member of the press or anyone else because they disagree with their opinion. If the House fails to sanction Crenshaw, including consideration of expelling him from the body, it will send a message to members that they are free to threaten reporters that they disagree with, and more importantly, send a message to reporters that they need to worry for their safety when they report on Congress members. Unless Representative Crenshaw is willing to publicly and unequivocally denounce his death threat against Tucker Carlson, send a clear message what he did was wrong, then committee must immediately, oh my God, this last sentence has to be a troll. Then the committee must immediately open an investigation of him with an eye toward expelling Mr. Crenshaw. Sincerely, Thomas Jones, President, American Accountability Foundation. Oh, an eye toward expelling. I see what you did there, AAF. I see what you did there, Swamp Monitor. In fact, I've got to retweet that. Check this out. Got to retweet that. In fact, no, let me change that too. All right, there we go. Oh, let's see. I always thought Crenshaw couldn't be trusted. Never liked the guy no matter what he says. Kept that to myself because he seems like a little creepy and capable. Yeah, I mean, he's capable. You know, when he first reminds me of the recent Alec Baldwin video. Did I miss an Alec Baldwin video? Oh, wait. Yeah. Didn't he say he would like hurt someone? Fuck, man. So much shit happens. I've got a short-term memory. Folks, I've started taking these mints that's supposed to help with brain clarity and caffeine and shit. Anyway, hopefully it'll start helping with stuff like setting up the wrong stream, having the wrong shit lined up. In fact, hopefully it'll help with things like giving you folks when you chat in. I usually like to give you these sound effects like
I love refrigerators
or the rim shot. Anyway, I try to remember to do that, and then I always just forget. But thank you folks for coming in. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You've made everything possible. The fact that I do have so many is your brain fried just like mine is. I mean, part of it is yeah, I did a lot of drugs when I was young. Did a lot of drinking when I was young. I am getting older. Really, you know, I hate to say this because there's a lot of controversy around the idea of long COVID, but it was like after COVID, after both bouts of COVID, it's like my brain got foggier. My memory got worse. And so, yeah, I've got some memory problems. And we're all getting old. It's okay. Uh, in fact, a lot of my gaming stream is because I literally forgot a whole chunk that I played a whole chunk of the game and thought it was locked off and then I fucked something up. And now I kind of do. Yeah, I remember I actually did play that part of the game. But anyway, long story short, that's what's going on. But yes, a big thank you to all you folks out there, all of my followers, because without you, without being able to make the numbers that I've made, the numbers of followers and the number of viewers that I have, I wouldn't have been able to be in this Rumble Creative Program and have a potential of both not only contributing back to the Rumble community, uh, but also be able to, take a little money, hopefully. Anyway, so I've got to get off Twitter for a little bit. Folks, we have, oh, you know what? Oh my God. See, this is my brain. This is my brain. You remember how I said I lost a news article? Yeah, it's right here in my browser. The news article that I said I lost earlier? No, it's right here. It's ABC News covering the 100 intelligence staffers to be fired. But let's one last thing I want to cover before I go. Hey, we got Sangland 86 giving us the old cheers from the DiCaprio cheers. In fact, here you go. Let's do this.
I'm gonna come.
I'm gonna come. So the one thing that I did want to talk about real quick before we move in the show. A lot of times when things go down and people talk about partisan politics, especially concerning the Supreme Court, I like to joke that people say our Supreme Court is a 6-3 conservative majority. And I say, not so fast. It's kind of 3-3 and 2, right? Because you have the 5 women on the Supreme Court all tend to kind of vote liberal. The 5 women on the Supreme Court all tend to vote liberal. And it seems Politico might be on to what I'm saying here. I'm not going to read this article necessarily, but hey, the conservatives on the Supreme Court may not fully align with Trump. And of course, what they're essentially talking about is Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts, the 2 conservative women on the court. Keep on keeping on. Life's a garden. Dig it. The great Joe Dirt. Oh, hey. Quotes about finding love later in life email just popped up a minute ago. Oh. I mean, love is what love is. Anyway, I'm not going to read some dumb Trump derangement Politico article, but I did find it interesting with all that's going on that on the one hand, you have a leftist news outlet talking about how, well, maybe our court's not as conservative as it looks. And then you have this from CNN. Supreme Court signals that it will make it easier for Americans to file reverse discrimination suits. Now, John Fritz of CNN, I just would like to point out that there's no such thing as reverse discrimination. It's just discrimination. It's the same thing. There's no reverse to it. To call it reverse discrimination would be like the students applying to a college discriminated against the dean. It's not possible. It would be like the criminal discriminating against the police officer. It doesn't happen. There's no such thing. What the hell's going on? Hey, we got the Wiser over on Rumble. Cheers and welcome. Good seeing you. Yeah, there's freedom of association or there isn't. Choose, morons. But the idea, they use this phrase, reverse discrimination, to ignore the fact that it is in fact discrimination and therefore an injustice. When you have an average white person, now again, you want to talk about racism as power and privilege. Well, to assume that there's nobody in a powerful position that could have a privileged relationship over a, let's say, white person that grew up in a trailer park. You have African American deans of college, African American professors, African American CEOs now. The idea that they couldn't have power and privilege, systemic power and privilege. Understand, the idea of systemic racism comes from the idea that, rightfully so, the effects of all the injustices white folks did to black folks leave a generational footprint on the necks of their descendants. And I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But the idea that the way we have built the current system over the last 20, 30 years, policies of the Obama administration, the Biden administration, and the federal government reverberating through the education system, through corporate America, the DEI initiatives, the LGBTQ initiatives, the left-right politics of it all. The idea that there's no systemic power involved at this point. We have reached that turning point where the systemic power can be applied. Wiser, leftists use language as a weapon. The smart ones know it's a lie. The dumb ones believe it. Normies get confused by academics. Yeah. That's why they use it, because it sounds interesting. But anyway, Marlene Ames started working for Ohio State government in 2004, steadily rose through the ranks of the Department of Youth Services. She claims that in 2017, she started reporting to a gay boss and was passed over for a promotion that was offered to another gay woman. She's challenging a requirement applied in 5 appeals courts across the nation that majority Americans raising discrimination claims must demonstrate background circumstances in order to pursue their suit. The plaintiff might meet that requirement, for instance, by providing statistical evidence documenting a pattern of discrimination against members of a majority. Ames couldn't do that, so in this case, she lost. An employee who's a member of a minority group, however, does not face that same hurdle. The requirement was rooted in a notion that is unusual for an employer to discriminate against a member of a majority group, but neither federal anti-discrimination law nor Supreme Court precedent speak to creating one set of requirements for a white employee to file a suit and a different set for a black employee. The case landed on the Supreme Court's docket last fall, and about a month before Trump was elected, and pledged to clamp down on diversity and inclusion efforts in both the government and private sector. But Ames' case is more procedural than those pronouncements, which triggered a series of other lawsuits In one indication of that, both the Trump and Biden administrations agreed that the 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals decision against Ames should be reconsidered. Anyway, let's jump down a little bit here. You agree that those passages are wrong, said Justice Brett Kavanaugh, a conservative. He pressed the state solicitor general on the section of appeals court opinion that required Ames to show background circumstances to win her suit. Quote, "We're not defending that exact language here," Kaiser acknowledged. That prompted Justice Kagan to jump in. "I mean the exact language? You're defending something like that language?" That is what the court said. I don't know what to make of this. Kavanaugh pressed ahead, asking Geiser whether Ohio agreed with Ames that the central point of the appeal court decision was wrong. Geiser said he agreed on that point, but pressed the justices to craft an opinion that would give guidance to lower courts to avoid tipping the scales too far toward employees in similar suits. The majority of the court seemed unreceptive to that argument as well. One telling and virtually unheard of sign of how clearly the court appeared ready to side with Ames, the justices wrapped up their arguments 5 minutes early. So we may be having some of this crazy discrimination policy of our federal government, and in being able to file discrimination lawsuits, be handled by the Supreme Court. Even if the 5 women of the Supreme Court have to have a say, sounds like they're gonna choose fairness over equity, over this communist idea of equity. Let me be honest about that. Argumentation, and they don't realize they get distracted by word salad, and the leftist only cares about power. They're not a good faith debater. Yeah, most of them are not. That's why they default to screaming violence. Yes, and most of them do. There's no bad tactics, only bad targets. Remember that. That's one of their little sayings. Anyway, so that's going to be the culture plate for the day. I may right after I log off here, I may go live over on my. Nah, you know what? I'm not going to go live. I'm not going to go live. I'm going to go try to redo the stuff I did yesterday. That way I can go live tomorrow night over on my gaming channel and pick up where I died and start from there, so I don't make you folks any fans of the gaming channel have to watch me do the same shit over again. So I'll go ahead and do that. So follow me on my gaming channel if you're interested in me playing some Baldur's Gate. Links down in the description. Links to all my social medias down in the description. Please, on your way out, folks, click that thumbs up button. I can't tell you how much the algorithms love. Weiser says go live anyways. I might. Singlet says auto load bite your ass again. Unbind that shit. No, it wasn't the auto load. It was literally I fucked around in town for about 2 hours, clicking literally everything. And as soon as I left the town, I got nuked and didn't save. So now I got to do 2 hours worth of shit in the town. Anyway, sorry to those folks who don't like the gaming content. I try not to rant as much about it, but Sanglant asked, so I had to fill him in on what happened. Anyway, so yeah, folks, thank you for coming by. Come back this Saturday, 6 p.m. Central, same bat time, same bat channel. If you're new here, please click that follow button. If you're over on YouTube, please click that bell for notifications. That'll let you know when I'm going live next. And like I said, it should be this Saturday, 6 p.m. Central. Wherever you're watching me now, come on in at that time. Come on into the chat. Say hello. Get your toast. Hopefully get your sound effect. And we'll get it going. We'll have a good little show on Saturday. I'm pretty confident of that. Anything else I need to address? I don't think so. Folks, take care of yourselves and each other. Outlast those haters. Don't get any on you. And if you do, rub that shit in real good. I'll catch you next time on Miles Culture Play, folks. Have the rest of your week be wonderful. Happy hump day, everybody. Good night.